What's up, guys? Adampark here, and today let's talk about World Quest. Specifically, let's talk about the gear that you get from World Quest. There was a post on the MMO Champion forums at the beginning of December, and it's something I've been holding on to until after the new year. But there was a post where a person complained that the gear from your World Quest that you complete do not continue to scale past a certain point. There were people on his side that said, hey, gear should continue to scale. The higher level gear you get, you should continue to get more and more higher level gear. And then there are others that said, hey, you should very obviously pursue other routes of gearing your character, that the gear does not need to scale past, a certain cutoff period, that you should be doing PvE rating, that you should be doing mythic pluses, that you should be doing something else to get gear, that this is a path from a fresh level 110 to a certain point, and then you need to do something else after that. And so it really got me thinking. As a very heavy raider, as someone who raids and has been raiding for a long time, I started to think, should the World Quest gear scale? And then more importantly, why do I as a raider care? What are the people, obviously we know why people want the gear to scale. They want better gear. But what is the deal with the people that don't want the gear to scale? So, for those of you that don't know, with Legion out, once you hit 110, the World Quest system, either you unlock it via doing the quest chain, or you have already unlocked it with a character before, and it's account-wide. But the gear that you have available to you is not great. We're looking at somewhere baseline 805-ish, 810-ish. But as you gain item levels, as you specifically gain gear over time, the gear that you will be able to obtain continues to rise and rise and rise. So whereas, like I said, you may initially be able to pick up item level 805 blue gear, eventually you will be able to pick up 845 plus, of course with Titan Forge and all that good stuff, epic quality gear. And with the exception of world bosses, this is the way the system works. That you will continue to grow as a player, and you will be able to get access to a ever-increasing pool of gear that scales with your item level. However, after a certain period, that gear stops scaling. So if you are 850, if you're 860, 870, 880, 890, whatever your item level is, you're still pulling in 845 plus gear. That is the complaint. So, like I said, I want it to, we obviously know what the deal is with those that do want it to scale. So, as someone who has been raiding, what's the bigger issue here? The bigger issue is those that are unable to raid, those that want this scaling. They don't want to do high-level mythic pluses. They want to be able to do World Quest. They want an avenue to gear their character that doesn't require grouping up with other people. They want to solo content and get the gear. However, those that are raiding, those that are putting in the effort, those that are putting in the time, don't want those efforts to be in vain. You don't want to be sitting around in Dalaran waiting for raid invites to go out, and you are rocking, you've been putting in, hour upon hour and wipe upon wipe, and you're farming food and flasks and potions, and you're trying to do everything that you can, and you're busting your ass to get, that high level, let's say 890, 900 item level. But then the dude that logs in for an hour every once in a while, every day, and he knocks out a few world quests, is able to get the same gear that you do. And yes, we know, with the exception of legendaries and the randomness behind it, that would piss people off. That would truthfully, that would frustrate me, to put in, 12 hours of raiding every week, plus farming, plus mythic pluses, plus, all the stuff that is required just simply to raid. And you show up and you've done a couple of world quests and you have the same item level as me. This, however, this has been an issue forever. So the ultimate problem really isn't the gear, though. It's not the gear. That is the byproduct. That is what we see because that is what we're given. Gear isn't the problem because gear isn't what makes the player, especially when we're talking about a rating scenario. When we're talking about rating, what makes the player is progress. And the ability to progress is so dependent on gear. Gear is also a way for you to show off your character. Like I said, if you're sitting in Dalaran, if you're sitting in Shattrath, when Burning Crusade came out, if you're sitting in Orgrimmar, or you're sitting in your garrison doing jack shit, the big deal was people coming up to you going, holy crap, that's a really cool piece of armor that dude has on. Right-clicking, inspecting. That was a huge deal. For those of you that did not play when Burning Crusade came out, and the ability to inspect people, the ability to see what other people had on, that was a huge deal. And that was a way for you to show off and go, yeah, that's right, I'm doing 25-man whatever. I've killed this boss. I've killed Illidan. I've killed, Gruul. I've killed whatever. That was a way for people to show off. And nowadays, there is no way for people to show off. You have transmog who, the sole purpose of transmog is to pick how you look. So now you can completely negate all that wonderful armor, and all those wonderful textures, and all those really cool sets of armor for one that you prefer a little bit more. And there's no way to show off what you have done minus spamming your recruitment macro in trade chat, or somebody getting, froggy and asking you, hey, how many bosses have you killed? What's your guild's progress level? So here is what I propose. I don't want to just sit there and bitch and go, there's no way to flaunt it. There's no way to, to puff out your chest and show people what you've been doing. I want to offer a solution. So here's what I'm thinking. Here is my $1 million idea to Blizzard, something that they could implement that I think would be fantastic. So simple because they have it in their other games. They literally have it in all of their other games. Is some type of leaderboard. Here's how it would work. You have a leaderboard that would be broken up into several different parts. So let's say we have a tier level leaderboard, meaning you have a Emerald Nightmare leaderboard, and until Nighthold comes out, that leaderboard is ongoing. You could also have, in conjunction, running side by side, a seasonal leaderboard. The same thing for both of these. However, the seasonal or the timed leaderboards would be much shorter. So whereas your tiered leaderboards are very obviously for the entirety of Emerald Nightmare, or for the entirety of Trials of Valor, until the next tier comes out, that leaderboard runs. And then it resets, and the new one comes up, once Nighthold comes out. Once, whatever the next, raid instance is going to be. And then your shorter ones could be 2 weeks. They could be a month, 6 weeks, whatever. Time period doesn't matter. You'd have to find a sweet spot in that. But what does this offer? This would offer a chance for guilds specifically to compete against one another. So things like progress. What guilds have killed what? Meaning, what guild has killed, Mythic Helya first? Which guild has killed Mythic Xavius first on your server? And you can clearly see, this guild holds the top spot. And again, that's for both of these, this timed period and this tiered period. How fast are guilds clearing a zone? From the initial first pull in Emerald Nightmare, that first Uzu pull, until Xavius dies. How fast can you clear the zone? What's the fastest guild to clear a zone in the past 6 weeks? Or how fast can you as a guild kill each individual boss? Who's the fastest guild on your server to kill Ursoc? Mythic Ursar. Who's the fastest one to kill it? And these can all run side by side. A point system where each mob, regardless of whether it is a boss, whether it is an ooze, whether it's an imp, whether it's a dragon, whatever the case might be, each mob, boss and trash mobs, are worth X amount of points. Very obviously, bosses are going to be worth more, probably standardized across the board. Trash is worth 1 point, bosses are worth 100 points, whatever. So what's the point of these points? Well, you see how many points you can accumulate. Every death you get takes points away. So if you have a mage that stands in rot on Nithendra and he dies, you lose 5 points. However, the kicker for this one is point reduction is multiplicative. So if you wipe, it is far worse to wipe than 1 or 2 people to die on a boss. And there could even be a speed component to this. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, you could even add, you get a bonus based on how fast you kill, or how fast you complete the raid. And obviously, points would need to be adjusted based on group size. Bigger groups should not, in this scenario, be penalized just because they're bigger groups, and they have more players that could potentially die. And obviously, more health for the bosses and whatnot. So what's the whole point of all these different competitions? Well, first and foremost, it gets your name out there. You can very visibly see who the fastest, who the best, who the most coordinated, because people aren't wiping. What guilds are out there that are just kicking ass? And that's something that you could say is, we've been fighting for the past, 2 seasonal or timed periods against this other guild. They, every time they clear the zone, 10 minutes faster than us every time. And we've tried our best. We want to beat them this time. You get that competition going. Visually, you are able to see your progress. You don't have to go, especially for a lot of people, a lot of the players that are doing normal or even heroic, they're not checking WoW progress. They're not checking Warcraft logs to see what the best guilds are out there. They're not checking any of that stuff. They log in and they look and see, who's in trade chat spamming. That's lame. That's so lame. The second thing, minus the visual aspect, the puffing out the chest, this is my rank for my guild, is that you should definitely get rewarded for your participation and your performance on that ladder. The ladder should show, like I said, all good stuff, all the good guilds, all the fastest times, all the points accumulated, whatever you might want to do. And then you, as an individual raider, should be rewarded with artifact power, or maybe even very similar to the Mythic Plus system, maybe an item based on your performance, your progress as a guild, not specifically, my mage did not stand in rot and did not die for the entire 2 weeks, season or timed period that Emerald Nightmare was out. And, we got a whole bunch of points, and so I should get gear, but this guy who died a couple of times shouldn't. Nope. Sorry, he's in your guild. He was in your raid. He contributed negatively just as much as you contributed positively. And then this reward would be based off, your highest performing ladder rank. So if you were super slow at killing stuff, but you never died, and you really didn't compete on the speed run, but you competed on the point system. Great, cool, okay. However, as we introduce this system, hypothetically speaking, the goal here is to increase competition while giving players and guilds a way to show what they got, to show what they can do. But we want to make sure that this doesn't upset guilds. meaning I don't want to have a mass exodus if my guild is unable to, compete successfully, i.e. top tier, the top, 1%. I don't want everybody to leave. I don't want everybody to leave a guild just because they're not performing. I don't want people to jump ship to leave and join a new group or guild specifically because they know that that guild, that group is getting more gear, that's getting more artifact power. Now, obviously, when I say guild and group, I do mean that you as an individual player would have to contribute to that raid group to be eligible. And there would have to be certain checks and whatnot. The guilds aren't just cycling people through. And it's a very tricky system. But to prevent players from just jumping ship and trying to find a group or a guild that is, so far ahead, there should be a probationary period. A period where you have to truthfully make a choice. It's a big decision to leave your guild in this scenario. It's not just, well, my guild is, specifically my guild, 3 out of 7 mythic. That guild is 4 out of 7 mythic. Fuck it. I'm going to them. It's, okay, we got this thing well coordinated. We're making some good progress. Our speed runs are down, really clean. And, we're getting a solid amount of artifact power every week because of this. But that guild is clearing one more mythic boss. That should be a tough decision. But it shouldn't be a decision that you're unwilling to make. You should not be punished long term because of this. I don't know that it would work out. That's just something that kind of has been brewing in my head. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below. What do you think about a scenario like this, where your guild is pitted against other guilds and you are rewarded for performance, for speed, for things like that? How do you think that would affect the gameplay? How do you guys think it would affect your choice when it comes to a guild leaving, staying, and just in general raiding? Would it make raiding more exciting? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. Is this a dumb idea? Could it work? Until next time, guys, I'll see you.